Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Cruise Compass Live. Definitely want to welcome you guys back. This is episode 4. We're actually going to be going over, what river cruising is all about. Why river cruising is one of the fastest growing segments of the travel industry. Who river cruising really appeals to. You know, um, Big thing here, river cruising isn't just a smaller ocean cruise. It's a completely different style of travel that focuses on destinations, culture, and more immersive experiences. The key components that we're going to look at, we'll start right now, the river cruising versus ocean cruising. Typically on a river cruise, you only got like 1 to maybe 300 guests on some of the larger ships. Compare that to thousands of guests on the regular ocean liners for the more popular, lines out there. You do dock in city centers, like literally right in the middle of the city, versus, the larger ports, which are going to often be on the outside of the city. A lot of times with river cruises, an excursion daily is included in your fare. So that is another big difference on the larger ocean liners. Excursions are typically always going to be extra unless you're really on the ultra luxury cruise line. We'll kind of take a focus on some of the destinations and the ship amenities as well. Keep in mind with river cruising, there are no sea days. You're on the river the entire time. You're going from city to city overnight. On ocean cruising, you could spend multiple days at sea. Especially if you're doing a transatlantic, you'll be at sea for 5 to 7 days, which is awesome. I do love that, but it is a lot more intimate atmosphere. It's more of a resort style atmosphere. So you got to keep that in mind when you're really kind of looking at river cruising. It's usually adults focused, but it is, a lot of these cruise lines do have family friendly options. So don't discount it for families. You do get to wake up in a new city every day. Unless, of course, there are times when they will spend an overnight in a city. Certainly, you can walk directly into town. There's no taxis or anything like that. There are much smaller crowds, so when you're walking around, you're literally just with that couple of hundred people, you've got it, a lot better. There are more personalized service areas, more culturally immersive for you. Top things to consider for river cruising, if it's the right fit for you or not. First, large scale entertainment productions and Broadway style shows. That's on an ocean liner. Okay. You're not really going to see a lot of, big entertainment options on a river cruise. You will have entertainment. You're going to have, simple little things, multiple specialty restaurants, dining venues. That's really not in the, on the river cruise. That's your ocean cruise lines. Once again, casinos, water parks, all those kind of things. They're the ocean cruise lines. Nightlife options, again, ocean cruise line more than anything. The large public spaces with all of your, fellow travelers with you. That's really one of those things that, that's what those big ocean lines are good for. It's not the lowest cruise fare. River cruises, include a lot more, but, so you're going to be paying a lot more upfront than you will. What you do gain with this is, pretty much the entire ship is a river view accommodation. Most ships, it's either, window, but a lot of them are, French balcony, full balconies, and if they are windows, they're panoramic windows. Directly docking, in the heart of the cities and the small towns, that's excellent because you wake up, you can see everything. Again, that smaller guest count, so 100 to 200 passengers. Definitely, like I said, more personalized service on there. Excursions are included for the most part, not all the time, but for the most part, more relaxed and immersive travel experience. When you do a river cruise, you're getting really into the heart of the local town. It is excellent there. Think of a river cruise less as a floating resort and more of a boutique hotel that travels with you. The ship is your transportation, hotel, and restaurant, but the real attraction is what's outside your window. The river cruise cabins are tiny. Well, no, not really. A lot of them, some of the entry levels, yes, absolutely can be, but most of them are actually a little bit bigger than the ocean cruise cabins. They offer anywhere from 170 to 300 square feet, 300 plus square feet, really, when we look at it. And, like we said before, they nearly all have outside views. Some of the lines like Avalon, AmaWaterways, Viking, and Riviera feature the French balconies or panoramic windows in many of their stateroom cabins, creating that very open feel. In fact, some of them combine both. For those of you who are not aware of what the French balcony is, it's really a window that just, comes down and makes it a balcony. And when you close it, it's just like you have an ocean view. Where can you river cruise? Well, there's a lot worldwide, really. Some of the most popular river cruises, in Europe are on the Danube, the Rhine, the Main, the Moselle, the Seine, the Douro, the Rhone. They give you some of these great highlights. You get to see the castles, the vineyards, the Christmas markets, and more of the historic cities that you've learned about. In Asia, you're going to be sailing on the Mekong or the Yangtze, the Ganges River. That is, you're going to see Vietnam, Cambodia, China, India. Okay, so some really immersive Asian experiences there. In Africa, you're going to sail the Nile, the Chobe. Those highlights give you Egypt. I mean, can you imagine just being on a river cruise and you're able to go see the pyramids and all like that? It's incredible. You do have safari extensions available with river cruises. So, get the best of both worlds there. In South America, they sail the Amazon. The rainforest exploration is incredible. Wildlife viewing, all of that. So it's it's something that you just cannot really find anywhere else. The exotic animals in the Amazon can be quite scary at times, certainly, but you'll get a great thing with it. And how about right here at home, North America? Okay, sail the Mississippi, sail the Columbia and the Snake Rivers. You get to take a really close look at American history. Travel to the national parks, follow Lewis and Clark route. You can see a lot of all that, and American Cruise Lines, really is the big one that does North America, and they really do that all inclusive. Okay, so they definitely are there. It's great to see that. So some of the major cruise lines that are out there, and what they're best known for, we're going to kind of go through that certainly. It is Viking. We'll start with kind of Viking River Cruises. It's the largest river cruise operator out there. It is adults only, so no kids on Viking River Cruises. They have a Scandinavian design. They do have an excellent value for their money. They are ideal for first-time river cruises. Again, they're going to be a little bit lower cost. Again, adult only. You're going to really kind of get all of that though. Looking into AmaWaterways. Now, for those who don't know, Ama just means love. So love of the waterways. They are known for luxury, excellent dining, wellness program, included excursions. They're ideal for really primarily foodies and active travelers. So they're going to kind of get out there and really do all that. Now, Avalon Waterways, another really beautiful cruise lines. Their panorama suite are out there. Beds typically facing the water view. So we can wake up and look at that. A very relaxed atmosphere. They are for travelers wanting larger cabins. Okay, it is really just your comfort is the most important thing there. Riviera Travel. Okay, they are best known as an exceptional value with strong European presence. Okay, that's where they started. That's where they focus. They are a lower price point, probably one of the lowest ones out there. So, they're ideal for that budget conscious traveler. Celebrity River Cruises. Hey, they are brand new to the river cruise market, but not brand new to cruising. Okay, this is that same celebrity that you know for ocean cruises. It is, they are already sailing. They've got one or two boats out there. I apologize. I don't remember whether it's one or two yet, but they're bringing that celebrity premium experience to the rivers for you. They're ideal for existing celebrity cruisers. Okay. Your loyalty program carries over. So you get all those benefits and you continue to earn those points. So that is important for some of those American cruise lines, just to kind of get that. They are U.S. focused. Okay. They sail the Mississippi River. So not much more you can ask for there. They've got some incredible itineraries that sail, all the way from New Orleans all the way Tennessee, and get that real, for those of us who grew up on, some of the stories, Tom Sawyer and all like that, excellent way to kind of relive that. The Columbia and Snake Rivers, we get to see a lot of the national parks, so that is incredible to be able to do that. So there's this idea for it's just travelers who want to stay within North America. Why does that help? You don't need a passport. Okay. It actually makes it great. So some of the other ones out there, I'm not going to touch on a lot, but you got Uniworld, which is boutique Caribbean, Palk, Scenic River Cruises, Emerald Cruises, and even more. Those are, just some of them out there. There are a ton of them, but, it's really one of those things. Considering river cruises, we've got options. They're out there. Okay. Some of the bucket list items that I like to tell people are available out there. The Christmas markets. Okay. What are the Christmas markets? It's a very festive atmosphere. Okay. The European Christmas markets are just iconic. Okay. They are incredible. You can get mulled wine. You can do holiday shopping. The greatest of the European traditions are what you're going to sail through. The best rivers for that is the Rhine and the Danube. So definitely, Christmas time, that's the time to go and do it. November and December, these cruises are incredible there. Now let's take a look at, tulip time. What is tulip time? Well, we all know it. It's very, it's Holland America, or not Holland America, sorry, that's a cruise line. Holland in bloom. Okay. It's windmills. It's, just all that spring scenery as everything's kind of coming to life. Things that you just don't really want to miss at all. It is absolutely incredible to see, those tulips and just how extensive they are. One of my favorite subjects, certainly a lot of times, are the wine cruises. Okay. So the wine cruises take you, through the heart of the Douro Valley, the Bordeaux area, the Rhine, Marseille, the Nile. Okay. That is another bucket list experience for people. Okay. What does the Nile give you? Well, you know what? It gives you a lot of that early Roman history, pyramid. It's just incredible what you're able to port, like the picture showing. You're going to be right there. You're going to be in the heart of it. You get to see the Luxor, the Karnak Temple, the Valley of the Kings, the Abu Simbel extension. So that's, one of your add-ons. Okay. So it really is, those things that you can kind of really just get immersive into all of that, so let's kind of switch over a little bit and take a look at the Mississippi River. Yes, that is a paddle wheel boat. Yes, that is American Cruise Lines. Okay. They are iconic for their boats. Okay. It gives you a look at Southern culture, go through Civil War history, hit Nashville, the music heritage that you can get, New Orleans. Wow. I mean, immerse yourself into everything that is New Orleans. Okay. Not just Mardi Gras, and Mardi Gras is an experience on its own, but just everything New Orleans has to offer. Okay. It is incredible. And don't forget, when you go out west, you got those national parks. Okay. So that is huge. Okay. You just, like I said, you just cannot believe what kind of things you can see right here in America. How about sailing the Intercoastal Waterway? Okay, leave out of Charleston, South Carolina, make your way all the way down to Key West, seeing all those wonderful coastal cities on the way down, not just passing by, but stopping, looking at them, becoming immersive in them. Okay, now, the Amazon River, okay, that gives you a ton of wildlife. Okay, that is what the Amazon is known for. Maybe not some of the most friendly of wildlife, but it is what you get to become a part of with that. The wildlife is incredible. Okay, you've also got the rainforest. Okay, they are you're just sailing right through it. The indigenous culture. Okay, it is very expedition style. Okay, you never know what's around the next corner. Okay, things change. Okay, it is just there. It is incredible what you can kind of see there. The Mekong River hop. What does that give you? Okay, well, get to go visit Vietnam and the culture that's there. How about Cambodia? Cambodia gives you an incredible look at that. You've got the floating markets. Okay, what are the floating markets? Well, it's exactly what they say. People on their boats, selling merchandise. Okay, whether it be fresh fish, whether it be, clams, whatever the case may be, they get to move around a little bit, but you're walking on the boats, just kind of visiting each one there. Angkor Wat. Okay, so one of the many wonders of the world. Okay, I don't even say there's only 7. I think there's many anymore. But go and visit that. It absolutely does give you that. The going back a little bit. I started to highlight it, but the Columbia and Snake Rivers. Okay, so that is the Pacific Northwest. Okay, and all the majesty that's up there with the tall oaks and everything like that. You've got Lewis and Clark. You've got the national parks. It's wine country. Okay, you do have the western side of the country, which has some very great wine vineyards out there. Just absolutely incredible. Now, who should consider a river cruise? Okay, well, I mean, honestly, couples. It is wonderful for couples, honeymoons, things like that, whatever the case may be. Retirees, okay, history lovers, okay. You can, no matter where you go, the history's there. Food and wine enthusiasts. Okay, we went over several of those that you could get to. Travelers who want to just unpack once but see multiple cities. People who enjoy immersing themselves into the culture. Okay, it is just you're gonna get a once in a lifetime thing. What's maybe not ideal for families with very young kids? They may not get really into that. Travelers who really want that nightlife experience. Remember, river cruises are not known for the nightlife. Now, you will be in cities, and you do certainly have that opportunity, to be right there and grab some nightlife. But, the water slides, the amusement attractions, go-karts, whatever the case may be, not on river cruises, okay? In fact, a lot of times you may not even find a swimming pool. There'll be some hot tubs, but maybe not a swimming pool. Travelers who spend most of their vacation on board. Okay, you're spending most of your time on the boat. Probably not ideal to get onto a river cruise for that. Okay, it's gonna bore you to death. Okay, there's beautiful things on there, but it will bore you to death. So I ask everybody, if you could take one river cruise tomorrow, where would you go? Okay, would it be the Christmas markets? Would it maybe be the Nile with all of the animals that you would encounter? How about the Mississippi River? Short trip, spend 7, 10, 14 days, sailing the Mississippi, especially now that we're coming into the 250th anniversary. Maybe it's the Danube that you want to do, or even the Amazon. Okay, the Mekong River. Okay, so it's one of those things that with river cruising, you really get that immersive action to it. A lot of times you get a lot more included. Okay, so for example, American Cruise Lines, I can tell you one quick thing that they love to do. They like to include the airfare. Okay, so that is definitely available there for you. Now, if tonight's show does have you taking a river cruise, reach out to us. Okay. It is, again, one of the most inclusive sales that you can get to. Okay. All of the contact information's been scrolling at the bottom of this screen there. So please definitely reach out to us. We'll be happy to get you going and go through all the options for you. And we'd love to help you find that perfect itinerary for you for what you're trying to get. Now, next week, we're going to be doing a highlight of the MSC Seashore and Ocean Key private island, the Ocean Key Marine Reserve. I apologize for stuttering there. We leave, my wife, and my grandson. We'll be leaving on Sunday on the cruise. Now, we're going to be spending the first day at Cape Canaveral and watching a live launch Sunday morning before we get on the cruise Sunday afternoon. So expect a lot of, highlights and insights into MSC cruises. I do hope to be live. I'll record it if I have to, but I do hope to be live. I will be live from my hotel room where we'll be staying after we get off the cruise. We get off Thursday, so we should be able to stream live. But just in case anything goes wrong, we never know with the Wi-Fi we're going to get. I will record it and post it. So I do appreciate everybody, checking in with me. Make sure you come back every Thursday, 7 p.m. Okay, and we will be doing our Cruise Compass Live with everybody. All right, once again, everybody, I really do appreciate you coming in. If you're watching this after, I've already recorded it. Again, I thank you very much. A little bit shorter today, but, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I do know people like to get on with their lives. So thank you, everybody. You have a blessed evening, and we will see you next week.